All right, thank you, everybody. We've got a great turnout today, so I appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy day here. Before I get started, though, I want to let somebody very important to us kind of set the stage for how exciting bringing these new family members to the Clover family together is going to be. So, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and let Brian Gowdy talk to you guys a little bit here. So, Brian, go ahead and take it away.
Hey, David, I appreciate it, and thanks to all the Ignite partners getting on today. It was probably, I guess, going on a year and a half now that First Data was doing a search out there for a tablet partner. Probably actually more than a year and a half that we were doing the search, and we looked into 65 different companies at that time and settled on Clover. And then for the Ignite channel, it's been just about a year that you all were introduced to the Clover Station and had the ability to sell that solution to your clients. So today's a pretty exciting day. You know, the next step in the Clover family, we've talked about it a little bit, the Clover Mobile and the Clover Mini. A lot of work has been done to bring this solution to bear, and now you'll have a real robust suite of solutions at all kinds of different price points and feature functionality onto the Clover platform. So we are shooting for a May 4th release. Right now, there are some pilots going on. We just want to get them in the hands of a few more clients and make sure that everything that we had anticipated that could happen, we've tested it out, and before we put it in your hands that we feel 100% confident in it. But right now, you know, all goes well. We are shooting for a May 4th-ish, call it, release. I think, you know, you're going to see extremely affordable. We've done everything in our power to get it, and if you think about all the functionality in this device, to have it come out at the price point that it did, I think you'll be very pleased with that. And, you know, for those of you who will be in Las Vegas next week, it will obviously be very prominently displayed out there. You'll have the ability to touch and feel the new devices, and it will be talked about, obviously, quite a bit. So somewhat of a momentous day here today, you know, for the company as we continue to try to be the leader in solutioning and software and make the transformation from a transactional company. So really excited, appreciate everybody getting on, and David, take it away.
All right, thank you very much, Brian, and once again, thank you everybody for joining in on our session here today. Now, this session is being recorded for everybody's purposes of being able to come back and listen to this at a later time. So, you know, as part of my spiel here, you know, making sure that we cover all of our bases, you know, the call is being recorded for those purposes. So if for any reason you disagree with us recording today's call, you may disconnect at this moment. Well, let's get into what we're so excited about, and let's jump right into talk a little bit more about the new additions to our Clover family here. We want to start off with a little bit of an exercise here. I'll give you guys a little bit of an opportunity to, you know, let's hear from what you guys have been doing today. So if you're familiar with our WebEx tools there, in the upper left-hand corner there, we've got our little capital letter T. If you click on that, you'll be able to go in and type in our field here, or our open space here on this slide. What kind of questions do you guys use today? We're interested in knowing what are some of those questions you use to qualify whether or not Clover is a good fit. So go ahead, and I'll give you guys a few moments here to start typing in some of those questions there. Like I mentioned, you're looking for that capital letter T there in the upper left-hand corner of the WebEx. That'll let you type in those questions. So let's see what we got out there. I'm going to go type in one of mine while you guys are typing those in. All right, excellent. I see a few in there already. What kind of technology are you using? What are your mobility needs? How do you track inventory? Excellent. And when you're finished typing, if you guys have typed out your favorite qualifying question, if you just click off to the side, we'll be able to see it then. All right. A few other ones coming in there. Do you have a need for a full business solution? All right, that's a good one. All right. There's probably something that you guys already use out there today, and in the process of moving along here, we're going to come back and visit these, though. So thank you for those of you that participated and threw up some of those questions in there that you commonly use today. You don't have to give us all your secrets, of course, but I'm going to revisit these here, all right? So as far as objective-wise, what do we plan to cover during our session here? We want to start off talking about how our conversation might change with the addition of some of the new family members. I think what you'll see by the end of our session today is that it doesn't completely change our conversation, but there's some additional important questions that we're going to want to ask. That'll stem from some of the new terminology that you're going to hear about in our session today. We'll explore a little bit more about the different software options. Of course, we'll talk about the hardware. We'll get a little bit more familiar with what the hardware looks like and where things are located on the hardware. We have a few scenarios that we'll discuss when thinking about where and which of the Clover solutions might fit our merchants. And then, of course, we'll talk about our boarding and we'll talk about our pricing scenarios to think about there as well. So a lot of this, there will be a lot of coverage of a lot of information. Along with that, we have a great repository of folks on the call here today that are going to help out with your Q&A. So we've got Teresa Ward on the line. She's going to speak a little bit and also be here to kind of help along with some of those questions. So make sure that you take in everything we have that we're going to talk about here in the next few moments, and realize that you've got a lot of great support here on the call that will be able to help out with any questions that we need to make sure that we're covering here. So as far as the Clover family, this is where we're going to start. We'll discuss, first of all, some of the basics of what to expect here with the Clover family. One of the first things we talk about here is that even with the new additions that we're including, the new members of the Clover family, the new software options that we're going to talk about, all of that still has a foundation in that Clover solution. So we can say that, regardless, whatever hardware, whatever software, it's Clover solution no matter what. What are some of those things that we can count upon to be part of that Clover solution as it always has? Well, custom hardware. That's still going to be part of, very much a part of the Clover solution today. As the station was custom, so will mobile and mini. Cloud-based. Both mobile and mini, like station, rely upon that cloud-based technology. So even if I'm a merchant who wants to manage my business through the web dashboard, I'm still going to be able to do that with mobile and mini. The app market, all right? We've seen that grow over the past year and a half to now close to 60 different applications out there today. And some of the newest ones that we've seen added are results of mobile and mini being included in the family. So you're going to see that continue to grow, but that also is very much part of the Clover solution, that ability to pick and choose those apps as I see fit as to which will make the most sense of helping me grow my business and run my business. We've got our 24/7 support that's available, whether we're using mobile or mini, whatever software solution that we're choosing there. And of course, security is always going to be a big part of any solution that we bring to our merchants. And right now, there's a lot of talk about EMV. You're going to see with mobile and mini, that's very easily to bring to market with these solutions. And a lot of that has been included as well. So all of this is still very much part of the Clover solution when we think of it. It's just we've got a few more members to add to that family, a few more options to pick and choose from. Now, to talk about the solution breakdown, I'm going to hand this off to our good friend Teresa Ward here. She does a really great job, and I think explaining the solution breakdown for us. When we think about one of our first options we might have with our in a discussion with our merchants. So, Teresa, can you help us out with what might we expect here when we talk about the solution breakdown?
Hey, thanks, Dave. Hey, my agent friends, good to talk to you. Hope everything's going great. I just wanted to add some color to what Dave introduced for us. There's going to be some new information here, which is really exciting, but it's not 180-degree different information. It, again, still applies to all of those core tenets of anything Clover. So even with this new information, a lot of things stay the same. You know, all our merchants get access to the app market and the web dashboard, but there's a little bit of difference here. So I'm sure you have all had situations over the past year where you've tried to introduce the Clover value conversation, that value prop. You've tried to introduce Clover Station, and the merchant simply responds with, you know what, I don't need all that. I'm not ready for that. I don't need all those bells and whistles. I'm a terminal merchant. I just need a terminal. And now we have a version of the software interface delivered through the Clover hardware that will apply to those specific needs. So we have basically two different versions of the software interface that sits on all of the Clover devices. So the name of this terminal replacement solution is the 2000 solution. This will be available on both the mobile and the mini, so it is not a one-to-one relationship. So if you have 3 mobile devices, or you have 2 mobiles and a mini, or you have just 1 mini or 6 minis, you can have this 2000 solution on there, and it is really just terminal replacement on steroids. We're going to talk about exactly what functionality is on there, but I just wanted to do a quick comparison or a contrast to the Pro solution, which is kind of the classic software that you're used to on the station. So same value conversation. If they need all-in-one business management needs, it's now called the Pro version. If they simply have terminal replacement needs and they need something more simple, more basic, and more affordable than what was previously a part of the Clover package, then we've got the 2000 version for them. Now, all of, just a really few important key points here, all of the devices that you have on your MID will have the same solution loaded onto them. So if you order 3 mobile devices, they're all going to be on 2000, or they're all going to be on Pro. And that's so all of your devices can sync in the cloud and you have all of the same data on that MID. Now, if you have a station, you're locked into this Pro solution. You can't have a Clover Station and have the 2000 software on it. So if you have a station and you add a mobile or a mini, because, again, like we said, everybody needs to be on the same MID and you can only have 1 solution per MID, then your mobile or mini devices will automatically be on that Pro solution. But let's just say you start off with a mini, and at first you just need basic terminal functionality, but then your business changes and grows and you decide you want to move from a manual inventory tracking to something a little more sophisticated, and you want to add that functionality in. You can upgrade from 2000 to Pro on your Clover Mini. You can actually do that in the web dashboard, in the App Market tab, and you can just do that with a click of the button. So a merchant can upgrade or downgrade between Classic and Pro on a mobile or a mini. If they don't have a station associated with their account, they could do that at any time. So seasonally, if they have, maybe they want to do some more sophisticated functionality for a couple months, they could do that, and then they can downgrade back to 2000. Obviously, our hope is that most merchants will start small and upgrade, and will stay with the Pro, because there is a cost difference between the two. There is a monthly cost difference between the two. But that's just kind of an introduction. So I'll let Dave kind of dive a little bit more into the functionality of each and how you differentiate between the two. And we'll do some, practice scenarios to make sure we think about, oh, if I walk into this vertical or this type of merchant, how do I know if 2000 or Pro is the better option or version for them?
All right. Well, thank you very much, Teresa. And yeah, I'm gonna take us into a little bit of a deeper dive here on what's included with 2000 and with Pro. So that should also help in that decision-making process of, well, what does my merchant really need and what will they really get the most benefit from? So let's take a look at First Data 2000. What kind of functionality can we expect with something or a solution that was built around a terminal alternative? Well, if you look down our list here, we've got a lot of the same functionality we typically would see on a terminal today. I mean, I can set my credit and debit card transactions here. I've got support for EMV and contactless. I can, of course, be able to process refunds. I can manage my tips, tabs, authorizations. I can close out my batch at the end of the day. I also am going to be constantly syncing with the cloud. And I also have some ability to set some permissions on different things, different types of transactions that I want certain employees to be able to do. Okay, very much the same kind of functionality we would find in a standalone terminal today. So that then begs the question of, well, what won't First Data 2000 do? Well, there's a nice little acronym that will maybe help us remember this, DOCCIT. D-O-C-I-T-T, all right? And each one of these letters represents a function that today we would typically see Station, Clover Station be able to perform, or the Pro solution will certainly support. But First Data 2000, not really fitting in with that terminal alternative kind of functionality there. So I'll go ahead and run down the list of what these actually stand for, all right? So D stands for discounts, all right? So in First Data 2000 solution, not really going to be able to do that discount because it's going to be rely upon something else that you will see here going down the list that we'll need to rely upon. Orders, all right? That's what O stands for. So that's something else, that you'll see a little bit later on down the list that is going to be very reliant upon in Pro that 2000 just will not have. Customers, all right? So if I have a merchant who says, well, I would kind of like that functionality to at least track my customers a little bit, that would be a good candidate to introduce 2000 and then let them know, well, if you want to that additional functionality, we can get you to upgrade to Pro. You'll have that ability. I is a big one. I think I, if we could change the lettering around, we would maybe put I at the first, and that's inventory. That capability or that functionality not available in 2000 is also going to affect our boarding process a little bit. And we'll discuss that a little bit later on. Not too much, but it will affect how we board our merchants. But that's also another big item. I think a lot of times merchants, that if they have inventory or if they have a menu, if they're a restaurant, right, and they want to be able to manage that. It may not be something they need right now, but the beauty of that is that, mobile or mini, when they're ready, they can go to Pro and be able to start doing this. Taxes, also something else that's not in 2000, and tables, all right? Now, there's many other apps, of course, that, I like. We have a lot of, they're out there in the App Store today. That, of course, 2000 also. If you're really thinking about that terminal equivalent, won't do. But these are the quick hit kind of hot button items that I think a lot of merchants out there that we need to keep in mind that these we're giving you the solution up front to be able to do these things eventually. But if you don't need that right now, then we still have a conversation to have. We still have that potential solution that will fit your business best. So those are the things that 2000 won't do. What will Pro include? Well, Pro includes everything that we saw in 2000. Down the left-hand side, you've got all that same terminal functionality with the added ability to do some of the things that we see with Station. In fact, the exact things that Station can do today. I can, of course, accept multiple payments. I can ring up my orders. I can charge and monitor tax. I can apply discounts. I can load up my inventory or my menu when I go to Pro. I can also manage my customers from here. So it really does give that merchant that option or decision to say, what do I really need now and what might I grow into when I'm ready for it? Hopefully that also changes our conversation with our merchants as well. Maybe the first question is not what kind of hardware do we want to look at. It might be, well, what kind of functionality do you plan to use? Then that'll help determine where do we start. It might not be station right from the very big get-go. So there's many different scenarios out there that you guys might come across and explore, and hopefully what this does is this opens up the ability to say yes to a lot of those. I think we've been doing that over the past 18 months with Clover. If you guys have been noticing, when we started off at the very beginning, last February, there was a short list, right, of merchants that we would be able to say, yeah, Clover was a good fit. And that started to grow very quickly with a lot of the different apps that were made available, the software updates. I think this should help do that as well, along with the additional apps that are constantly in development with the hardware and the software, the usage preferences that your merchants will look at. So there's a collection of different types of scenarios where this might come up. You've got PC-based merchants with niche software that might be looking for just a terminal equivalent there. You've got merchants who are looking for EBT or cashback needs, once again, looking for a terminal equivalent. Merchants who don't want to invest in Ethernet or Wi-Fi, or merchants that are looking for a complete mobile solution. In the past, we thought Clover would be really awesome to be able to have in that situation mobily, but we're not quite there yet. Now we can. Now we can start to approach those types of businesses. Merchants with tiny counter space or space footprint. Clover the Clover Station kind of helped do that from a large full-size point of sale. This will help further do that, I think, if you have a merchant who's really got a small amount of space but wants, a lot of bang in a little form factor. I think many will be a good fit in those types of situations. Merchant, medical, law offices, tax offices, where they're typically not using Clover Station today, they wouldn't find a need for it there, as medical and law offices have, some functionality they might be looking for that Clover does not, the Clover Station doesn't support today. Might be where, once again, a terminal equivalent might be what they're looking for. Not only new merchants, though, that we're able to approach, but what about our existing merchants out there? Merchants that maybe have full-service restaurants that have been looking for a pay-at-the-table solution that ties in with their Clover Station today. Clover Mobile would be a perfect fit for that type of situation. Retailers who want a terminal replacement system, services with mobility needs, if they need just mobile by itself. I think you guys probably know your scenarios that after this call and as we get closer to that release date, you have a very good idea of who you're going to start to go out there and approach with the new hardware and the new software options. Now, there's a different conversation that we can have with those merchants out there, and it's not necessarily completely changing that conversation. But as I mentioned, as you've seen so far, maybe the first question we don't ask necessarily is whether or not the merchant's ready to upgrade or change their hardware solution, but maybe in kind of showing that genuine concern once again and being that using that consultative approach is maybe first asking, well, what do they need? I mean, what do they want something with this much technology available to them? What do they want it to do? Do they really need all of that functionality, or do they want to try it out first and see how they might want to integrate some of this into their business? The first question that we might ask ourselves, and these are questions that we really do want to ask ourselves, not necessarily the merchant themselves, but some things to think about are, is this merchant existing Clover merchant or not? Do they already have the station or not? Because this question will help us identify which route are we going with the software solution. Are we going with Pro, or are we going to go with 2000? Remember, if they have Station already, or if they're going to be getting Station, they're already going to get all the features and benefits of the Pro solution. I mean, all the bells and whistles, all that additional functionality from the station right on down to Mini. What if they aren't existing, though? What's the next question we might want to ask? Well, we need to find out, will 2000 or will Pro be the way to go? All right? Do they need full business management solutions? Well, if the answer is yes, we probably want to talk to them about going the Pro route, right? Whether that means getting into Station first or getting into Mobile and Mini first and then upgrading to Pro. If they don't, that will kind of leave the Station out of that conversation at that point, and then we'll focus back on, well, okay, so Mobile and Mini might be what you need, Mr. and Mrs. Merchant. When we figure out our software solutions or our usage there, that might be then where we kind of narrow down which hardware might be a best fit. So we do need to also question if they have mobility needs. Would they like to be able to take Clover with them? All right, if the answer is yes, we know we need to go with Clover Mobile because that'll be the only one that we can walk around with. But with the answer being no, if they have a stationary need, then either Mobile or Station might be a good fit there. And then finally, what's going to be their usage preference? It may not be just one of those solutions, all right, or one of those pieces of hardware. It might be a mix or match of different devices in one place. We might have that example of a restaurant where there's the need for a station and then some mobile devices so that we can do pay at the table. Or I might have a use at a retail location where I want to open up some additional lanes to, for checkout whenever we get really busy, but we don't have a lot of additional counter space. That might be where Mini, along with a station or two, might be a good fit. So those are some additional questions we'll need to ask, and maybe think about when we're having that conversation with our merchants. So does that really change then what questions we may have had at the start, all right? Are there really any differences to the questions that we really start out with asking a merchant? If we go back to our original questions, all right, that some of you guys typed in there back at our first little activity, how do you track inventory? Do you need a full business solution? What are your mobility requirements? What kind of technology are you using today? Does that really change these questions that we've always used to qualify if they're a good Clover merchant? No, we can still ask these questions. We hope you do. It just means that we'll have to ask a little more to kind of really narrow down which of our options will best fit our merchants. All right, so let's go back into a little bit of a interaction time frame here, or a little bit of time for some interaction from you guys. At the bottom of your participants list over here on the right-hand side of the WebEx, some of you guys have probably done this before, there are some tools there that you can use. There's a raised hand you can click on, there's a green check mark, and there's a red X. All right, so for our first knowledge check, we're going to use some of these. We're going to find out and see what you guys think here. What function will a merchant be able to perform using the First Data 2000 solution? Which one of these best fit that? Will it be to adjust items in an inventory? Would it be apply a discount to a regular customer's order? Or add a tip to a customer's transaction? I'll give you guys a few seconds there to post your vote there. And I see some of you guys are already jumping in there. That is excellent to see. All right, I see a lot of red X's down the list, and you guys are correct. Yes, add a tip to a customer's transaction. That is something you certainly can do with the First Data 2000 solution.
Hey, Dave.
Yes.
Hi, it's Lana, and we do have a couple of questions in the queue if you think it might be appropriate to take those before we go on from this slide.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. I apologize, folks, as questions are coming in on the Q&A.
No worries. Here's our first question, Dave. Is there a limit on Mobile and Mini devices, how many you can have on one merchant ID?
Very good question.
I can take that if you like, Dave. At this time, there is not a limit, at least from Clover. I don't know if Ignite has a channel limit set, but technically, Clover can support as many devices as you want to associate with OneMid.
Thanks, Teresa. Our next question is, will the 2000 and/or Pro offer next-day funding like our traditional terminals, and when will Station offer next-day funding? So the short answer to that is no, it's not like our traditional terminals. It's Clover, so it's like Clover. Clover does have next-day funding available within the cutoffs. However, it's a little bit more complicated than that. So the best thing to do for that question is when you have a specific scenario, you know, tip or no tip, is to call into the pre-sale support line and get some advice from them on the next day funding and the cutoffs. And then the next question is, the slide shows pre-auth for bar tabs. Please explain, is pre-auth available? Is there a new bar tab?
Yeah, so this is pretty exciting. When Mobile and Mini are released, those devices, regardless of whether you get 2000 or Pro software loaded onto them, will both be able to pre-authorize a card. So that means they will be able to place a funds hold on a card that is swiped, and then you will be able to authorize or finish out that transaction with the total amount without reswiping the card. At the launch of the Mobile and Mini devices, that will only be available on those devices. So it will not automatically be an app that populates on the Clover Station screen itself. So if you have a merchant who already has a Clover Station, they will need to get a Mobile or a Mini to support pre-auth at this time. Like many features on Clover, sometimes it starts in one interface and then they add it to all of them. Like, for example, when they first did employee permissions, you know, you could only manage that on the Station interface. You couldn't do it on the web dashboard, but then eventually that functionality was added to all interfaces. So at this time, pre-auth will be available on only the Mobile and Mini interfaces. One additional clarification there for everybody is it is pre-authorization, meaning it is a funds hold. It is not a drink tracker. So it is not saying, you know, hey, here's your pre-auth for $50, you had drinks X, Y, and Z, and now we're going to close it out for $13. Those would be managed into two separate apps. And we won't go into more detail on that today, but there will be tutorials on help.clover.com on how the pre-auth functionality works.
Thanks, Teresa. There is another question. Dave, when will this presentation be available?
This presentation will be available in the handout that should be there now. If it is not, I will make sure I get that loaded up there for you guys. I see that I loaded it up earlier, and it must have dropped out of there, so I apologize, guys.
Thanks so much, Dave. And we have another question. If we are on the Clover Plan A or B, I assume that means Pro or 2000. Do the Mini and Mobile count towards our monthly count?
Yeah, so I think let's hold that until we get into the pricing and fees section later.
Perfect.
Cool.
Yep, I think that's what that question was related to. Right. All right, any other questions that you see there, Lana?
That's it for now.
Okay. All right, we'll continue moving along, and then Lana's going to continue monitoring the Q&A tab out there, and when we have a moment, we'll stop and pause and take a look at those questions. We'll keep moving along here, though, but yes, good job. Thank you guys for participating in our first little knowledge check. Let's get a closer look at the hardware, all right? So we know about the two different software options. Here's what our hardware looks like. So first of all, we take a look at the Mini. Of course, it's a fixed countertop use case, although there will be some multiple connection options. As you can see on this slide, we've got 3G, Wi-Fi, and Ethernet. So we've never really had a terminal equivalent with 3G that meant to be on a countertop. But there may be a use case for that. There might be a definite situation where a merchant would prefer that. But it is still meant to be on a countertop. You can't take Mini with you out in the field as you would be mobile there. But some of the things we go down this list of some of those features, we've got a 7-inch screen, a little bit smaller than the Clover Station, but it is still a touch screen, and it still can hold all the same things you would see on the Clover Station today. EMV, contactless, swipe cards, and PIN debit all supported on mobile or on Mini. You'll see it on mobile here on the next slide as well. Front-facing camera, all right, which serves as the scanning device. So once again, we've got the ability built in to scan our items if we're going to be building our inventory or we're going to keep track of our inventory. So we'll be able to do that even with Mini. We've got our connection options, Bluetooth, audio jack. Now, one thing that's unique with Mini is that it does come along also with a connection hub, all right? And it looks very similar to the connections that you'll see on the bottom of the Clover printer today, or the Clover Station printer. The 4 USB hubs, the additional connections there. This hub, what that means is that it'll allow Mini to support a lot of the peripherals that we see on station today. Now, you'll see some more details on that here in the next few slides. Barcode scanner, as I mentioned, is that forward or that front-facing camera, and we have a built-in printer also kind of to tie along with what we typically see on our terminals out there today. Here's a little bit of a closer look as to the lay of the land on Mini, where things are located. We've got the MagStripe reader and the EMV card reader at the top. Yes, the EMV card dip is built in on the Mini. The front-facing camera is right here on the front as well. All right, we've got our audio jack. We've got a place where the SIM card is stored for those 3G connected Mini devices. And, of course, we have the built-in thermal printer. Here's our mobile device, all right? Definitely used for a mobile use case scenario. Once again, we've got a 7-inch screen, so it's very similar in format as far as what it looks like and feels like with Mini. Once again, EMV, contactless, card swipes, and PIN debit all supported right on mobile. We got the front-facing camera and microphone still here as well. Now, as far as connection options, at release, there will be only really one option for our mobile. That is, it'll be capable of handling 3G and Wi-Fi all at the same time. We've got a Bluetooth audio jack in there as well. Now, the scanning capability, you can do it with the camera, but you'll probably want, you'll have better functionality because the underside of mobile has a trigger, like a little handle, a little trigger that will allow you to scan you have your scanning capability as you do with Station today. There is an optional charging dock you can see in the screenshot here. The piece that's down below, all right, kind of pointing this area here on the screenshot, that is an optional peripheral. It's being treated as a peripheral right now. It is a docking station that allows for recharging, all right, and it can be mounted in multiple configurations, either sitting on your countertop or it comes with mounting brackets. You can actually mount it on the wall as well. So a little bit of a closer look here on our mobile landscape. We've got the MagStripe reader at the top along with the EMV card dip already built in. There's an audio jack here as well, microphone and SIM card locations. There's our capacitive touch handle on the other side. Capacitive touch, if you guys aren't really sure what that term means, it means that to save battery, storage battery on there, I can have this set up where it's turned off until I pick it up, and the handle will notice that, oh, it's in your hand. Let me go ahead and turn it on so you can do what you need to do. But there's a picture of the scanner down there on the bottom with a little trigger. It looks like something from Star Trek. A lot of us have used that as a reference. But there's a lot more detail we'll share with you when we get to the resources towards the end of our call today, that you guys will get a lot more detail as to where the layout of everything is. But this should help you guys get started with that orientation without having one in your hand right now at this moment. You know, give you a better feel of what Mobile Mini will look like and feel like. Now, as far as peripherals, as I mentioned, Clover Mini has that connection hub that will allow Mini to utilize a lot of the same peripherals that you see on station today, except for the FD40. We will not need an FD40 in this situation because a lot of that functionality, pin capture, contactless, EMV, is already built in. Okay, but the cash drawer, weight scale, separate barcode scanner, a lot of those peripherals we've been using on station today, I could use those on Mini. The Clover Mobile, the only two peripherals we have available today are the docking station and the printer, as once again, a lot of that functionality will be built in. Okay, as I mentioned with the docking station, it acts as a recharger as well, and the printer is a Bluetooth printer and will only pair with the Clover Mobile. So it'll be real easy whenever a merchant wants to pair up their mobile and their printer together. It will only be looking for that printer specifically so that they can have that communication bridge there. Now, there's some more technical specs here, and I won't go over all of these in the call, but it'll be something that you guys can look over in the presentation. There are some of these specs that I do want to point out as something important to kind of note. With Clover Mobile, it does have that battery capacity, a rechargeable battery, which on a good full charge will allow for 8 to 10 hours of operability. With the connectivity options, today we've got Mini with Ethernet, Wi-Fi, and 3G options. With Mobile, it's just Wi-Fi or 3G connections. And then the printer is also something I want to kind of make sure that we note here. Both Mobile and Mini use smaller paper than Station. So if you have a merchant out there that has Station today, you might want to let them know or remind them that Mobile and Mini do have their own paper sizes. And that, of course, it only seems to make sense if you're going to have something smaller, taking up less space, or holding your hand. You don't want a whole lot of paper to kind of fumble around with. So today, Clover Station uses 3 1/8 inch paper. Mobile and Mini will use 2 1/4 inch paper. And that will bring us to our next knowledge check. And after this knowledge check, I see some questions that came in, so I'll find out from Lana what questions we have there. But for our next quick little knowledge check here, true or false, a merchant could connect their Clover Mini to a Clover Station or a weight scale, or both. Is that true or is that false? All right. This time we'll just use the green check mark or the red X over there like you guys did earlier. And let's see what you guys think. Is that true or is that false? Could I connect my Mini to a register or weight scale?
And just a clarification, I think what we're asking here is, can you connect your Clover Mini to a cash drawer, right? The cash drawer peripheral?
Correct.
Okay.
That might change some of your answers there, guys. I apologize. And the raised hand is not an option there, guys. So just it's either the green check mark or the red X. All right. Well, in the interest of finding out our answer here, I see a lot of green check marks, and those of you that chose the green check marks, that is correct. Yes, I could connect my Mini up to the Station cash drawer or the weight scale or any of the other peripherals that Station, of course, supports except for one, and that will be the FD40 pin pad. All right.
Hey, Dave, I'd like to add some color here just to set some context around this. So there's a couple things to think about based on what we learned today. It would only make sense to connect the Clover Mini device to a weight scale or a handheld barcode scanner or a label printer or a cash drawer if they're using the Pro version of the software. Because otherwise, they're not tracking inventory, they're not tracking stuff. They're not tracking cash, as we learned from that docket acronym. So if they're on the 2000, it wouldn't be showing genuine concern. It really wouldn't be logical to offer them any of those peripherals because they wouldn't really be able to use them with the terminal-based functionality. Now, if they upgrade to Pro, they're managing inventory, they're doing the same types of things that they would be doing on the bigger station screen, then yeah, those devices might be necessary.
Absolutely. And that all comes from that questioning, right, that discussion that we're going to have early on with that merchant to find out what is their usage preference, what are they going to need this solution to do, and that's where we can then base that additional discussion or the additional suggestions for additional peripherals. Absolutely. So I'll pause there for a moment and see, Lana, what kind of questions do we have in the Q&A there? I saw a bunch of them come up whenever we introduced the hardware.
Okay, so the first question we have is, can we disable PIN debit yet support EMV? And we're going to put that one down as a takeaway. At this point, we're thinking that that may create errors, but we will research that. Okay, so I've got that jotted down. The next one is about fees. We'll be talking about fees coming up here soon, correct, Dave?
Yep.
Okay, and we'll also be talking about how the 3G works coming up?
Yes.
Okay, and then here's a question that we do get quite often. We'll let Teresa or someone else on the call. Do we have any ETAs on reprogramming merchant IDs on this equipment? Is it still a no for these as well as the Clover Station?
Today, that is correct. It is still not an available feature to reprogram at this time.
Still unavailable, and as soon as that changes, we will let you know. And okay, and I think that is it for now.
Okay. All right, we'll take a look back at those again, and I think I'll be able to answer a lot of those questions. There's a few in there that I also was able to see that we're going to answer those, all right? So let's talk about boarding and pricing, all right? This is where we'll see some, definitely answer some of those questions. All right, so to start off with, looking at the pricing overview, this first section, we're going to talk about that whole concept of Pro or 2000. How will this affect my boarding process or my pricing? And I'm just going to run down these list of bullet points. As you guys know me very well, I don't typically like to read bullets, outright, but I think these are spot on exactly what we need to know here. First of all, anytime the boarding combination includes the Clover Station, okay, so that could be Station by itself, which we're used to today, or Station with Mobile and or Mini, a minimum $39 Clover service fee will be required, just like we do today. All right? So anytime Station is included, we're going to need that Clover Station or that Clover service fee to be included. Now, important note about that. It is a 1-to-1 ratio with that Clover service fee. So if I have a Clover Station and I want to add a Clover Mini or a Mobile, I don't have to do anything else because that one Clover service fee in a 1-to-1 ratio with Station will cover both those devices. If the number of Clover Mobile or Mini units exceeds the number of stations, additional Mobile or Mini units will be billed, but it's done through the app marketplace. So if I have a merchant who has or wants a Station and 2 Minis or a Station and 2 Mobiles, the first Mobile and Mini will be covered under that one Clover service fee. The additional Mobile, the merchant will do this through the app marketplace, the application marketplace. Okay? So it's a 1-to-1 ratio with a Station and any of the other devices. That $39, whatever you guys decide to mark it up to, Clover service fee will be required. If boarding Clover Mobile or Mini only, all standard monthly Clover service fees will be billed through the Clover app market and not through the ROLA or MPA today. So if it's just mobile or Mini by itself, you're not going to do anything with that Clover service fee. That'll be something the merchant can decide upon when they decide to go from 2000 to Pro. Merchants with mobile or Mini only, like I said, we'll start off with a 2000 software solution, and we'll have the option to upgrade for $29.99 a month through the app marketplace. All right, so they'll make that decision to go from 2000 to Pro, and it'll be just like purchasing or agreeing to an app, on the App Store or the app market. Security options for mobile and Mini are similar to terminals, all right, when it comes to the TransArmor solution. You'll have the ability to either do the TransArmor solution fee or the compliance fee, whichever one you guys are going to do, just like you do with terminals today. If at any time the station is included in that boarding process, remember that $39 Clover service fee includes the TransArmor solution. So there would be no need to pick or choose that option. It's only whenever mobile or Mini is being offered here. Also, when we talk about the 3G plan, how is that being billed? Because we do have that placed on the application right today for the wireless plans or the wireless fees. We're not going to do anything with that. That is also going to be all handled through the App Store or the app marketplace for any equipment using 3G. So it could be the mobile or the Mini 3G. First Data provides our own 3G data plan, okay? Through the mobile wireless app, all right, or the wireless application that's out there today, the merchant can go in and they can opt for this. The first month, the first 30 days is free. After that, it's $15 a month ongoing for that 3G coverage. Now, this 3G coverage uses T-Mobile coverage, all right? It's not a T-Mobile account, but it is using T-Mobile's coverage. So if you're interested in finding out before you get a merchant into the mobile or the Mini 3G and you want to know, okay, well, are they going to get good coverage here, you can utilize that kind of coverage information to help determine if that's going to be a good fit or they're going to have good communication there. Now, if the merchant wants to go outside of our provided 3G plan, they can certainly do that as long as it is the GSM technology, meaning that Verizon or Sprint would not be supported. But any other wireless provider the merchant wants to opt into, they will have to work with the wireless provider, of course, provide the SIM chip for it. That's why both the mobile and Mini have that little port where the SIM chip is accessible. All right, but that is all managed through a new app that is out there. You can actually go out there and do this today and see all these details that we're covering. If you go out to help.clover.com/app-market, you see the screenshot at the bottom of the page here, just a quick shot. But this is where the merchant will go in and manage all of that and opt into that wireless plan. So those are the software options, the wireless plans there. What about the hardware cost-wise for you guys, what you see out there on the shopping cart? Here's a rundown of your Clover mobile and Mini devices. Mini, of course, like I said, comes in two different connection varieties. We've got the Wi-Fi and Ethernet connection, and we also have the Wi-Fi, Ethernet, and 3G connections. Mobile comes in one connection option there. It's the mobile 3G Wi-Fi. And then, of course, you have the specific peripherals for the mobile, your printer and your docking station pricing accordingly. Okay. And as always, you guys will have the ability to mark these up and do as you see fit here when you're offering this to your merchants. Now, the prices that you saw on that previous slide do not include shipping or handling or applicable taxes. That'll apply at the time of ordering the equipment as usual. Leasing terms and funding factors will be the same for mobile and Mini as currently stated for all other terminals. So I know that a lot of us will probably be very happy to hear this. With Station has its own leasing terms and funding factors, but mobile and Mini will match leasing-wise what you guys see today for leasing a terminal. Right? So you have all of those options available to you, and the funding factors to look forward to. As we already mentioned, and the question did come up, similar to the station, mobile and mini cannot be revisioned, all right, or reprogrammed at this time. And another question you guys might be wondering is, what about demo stations? Those are coming soon. Keep an eye out for our additional communications as to the pricing and availability on those, but they will be coming as we offered the station demo units. All right, so we've got an introduction to our hardware and software pricing. Now let's take a question, or let's take a look at a knowledge check, and I'm sure that there's a lot more questions that just came in there, so we'll address those as well. A merchant has a Clover station already and wants to add a Clover mobile device, all right? True or false, an additional Clover service fee is required. Is that true or is that false? All right, I see X's up there. Good, that is excellent. And all right, we'll go ahead and close off that poll question or timing for it. You guys are correct. That is false. Remember, it's a 1-to-1 ratio. Whenever I have Clover Station and I'm already being billed that $39 Clover Station, the Clover service fee monthly, there will be no additional monthly fee if I'm adding a mobile or mini device to that scenario. All right, before I go into the boarding piece and looking at the application, Lana, what kind of questions do we have out there that we might be able to help address here?
Thanks, Dave. I'll go through these, and if it's something coming up, just let me know. The first question is, will mobile and mini devices be available in demo form?
I know that's something that the Ignite channel is working on, and we don't have an exact date on that yet.
Okay, so we'll mark that one down as a TBD. Thank you so much, Teresa. The next question is, oh, I'm sorry, I lost it. The next question is, will the minis and mobiles be able to sync with each other and the station if the Wi-Fi goes out?
No. So just like two stations would not sync together today, if the Wi-Fi goes out, the devices will still function in offline mode, but because they're not connected to the cloud, they can't talk to each other.
Thank you, Teresa. Is there a way to charge the mobile without the docking station, or do you have to get the docking station?
That's a great question. There is a charger that comes with the mobile device. You do not have to get the dock. It's a I always forget if it's micro USB or mini USB. I think it's micro USB, which means it's kind of the same shape as I use on other devices, like my Verizon Jetpack. It's the same shape charger. So it's not a Clover-specific charging shape. This is great for, merchants who want to charge the device when they're in the car or something like that. They can have kind of a generic charger for it. So that's a great question.
Thank you. Here's a question. If a merchant only wants a mini, needs inventory function, is the cost $29.95 plus $15?
$29.95 would be the cost for the Pro software package. That would be the monthly SaaS fee. The $15 would be for the wireless 3G data plan.
Okay.
So they don't have to use our data plan if they want to turn that off and they want to use only Wi-Fi, or they want to get their own data plan, through AT&T or whoever else, they can do that. So that $15 is optional.
Okay, thank you. We got that. And then we do have just a couple of informational pieces. For those of you who are using the mobile app is missing some of the WebEx features. If you're using the WebEx on a mobile device, so you won't be able to download the presentation. We'll be getting that up on My Agent Office as soon as possible. And if you are looking for the handouts, if you go to the menu bar and select File Transfer, up in the upper left-hand corner you'll see File. Select File Transfer. You'll see the File Transfer box. Highlight the document and click Download, and you can take it away today.
Absolutely. And I'll remind everybody of what that looks like here before the end of the call. Yep. All right. So is that all the questions we have so far, Lana?
It is.
All right. Okay, guys. Well, here's the last section we're really going to cover here. I believe that we'll definitely want to make sure we note, and that is, what will the boarding look like on our boarding tools today, either on ROLA or MPA? Now, we're going to start off, first of all, with a ROLA merchant, all right, or if you guys are boarded on the ROLA application today, and this would be a merchant who is getting Clover Station along with mobile or mini. Keep in mind that any time station is included, it's pretty much business as usual. A lot of the same things we do today will still be there. So, for instance, today when we board Clover Station by itself, when we start off a ROLA application, the application type will be Clover Service. That's still the same, all right? When Clover Station is included, we need to think about that first. That kind of should hit our mind first as to how am I going to board the rest of this, either through ROLA or even the paper MPA. We still need to make sure that we're verifying the merchant's email address and make sure that's accurate and valid. And then when we get to our equipment section, when we're adding station today, we choose our equipment type as Clover Service. All right, we choose our Clover bundles and our equipment name, either the bundle itself or bundle with cash drawer. That would all still be the same. The only difference here would be we're also going to go in and add in our mobile and mini, which you'll see in our next scenario here. But anytime station is included, it's pretty much business as usual when adding our equipment and also adding our peripherals. All right. Once we add our equipment, we can go into our peripherals, of course, choose which peripherals apply. There will be a different listing of peripherals for mobile and mini, but they will be according to those devices as well. And as we mentioned earlier, anytime we're boarding the Clover Station, I will need to put in that Clover service fee, all right, that monthly Clover service fee. Now, what about a new merchant that's just doing mobile or mini only? Okay, no station included on this boarding opportunity. Well, there's going to be two little subtle changes that you'll see here. All right, first one being we will start off with new application. That will be the application type here, not Clover Service. We will still need to verify and make sure that the merchant's email address is valid and correct. And then when we get to our equipment section, mobile or mini will be found under the software equipment category. Okay, so I know we might want to navigate to Clover or Terminal, but it will actually be under software. And under software, that's where we'll be able to pick and choose, of course, our Clover Mobile or our Clover Mini devices from here. And just like we do with any piece of hardware that we add in, we'll also be able to pick and choose from our software or from our peripherals. So we can pick and choose the peripherals that will apply to either Clover Mobile or Mini, add those in as well. So there'll be specific listings here on our peripheral types based upon our equipment type. And that's really it. That's the only things that will be different when we get to filling out ROLA when it's mobile or mini by itself. And just like we mentioned earlier, if we're boarding mobile or mini by themselves, there won't be a place where we can board or load menus, and there will not be that monthly Clover service fee. So those will be two things you'll notice in ROLA that won't come up when we have mobile or mini by itself. Okay. The menu boarding will be a process post boarding, all right, or after you guys have already submitted the application, there will be the opportunity that if the merchant decides to go to 2000 to Pro, that will be a process detailed out later, all right? You guys will get more details on what that looks like and how the merchant will do that here. With the paper MPA, all right, it's even really less changes here that we have to look at. First of all, merchant's email address, as we talked about earlier, still need to make sure that we're validating that. This is a paper MPA where Clover Station is included. In Section 5, where we're filling out our Clover hardware, where we need to make sure that Clover Service identifies our Clover stations, software equipment category identifies our mobile or mini there. And these are all, of course, on the Nashville platform. And then because Clover Station is being included on this boarding opportunity, we will need to make sure that we have that Clover Station fee, whether we stay with the $39 standard or if you guys are marking it up from there. Okay. Now, because Station is being included, you can also do the menu upload, so that entire Clover Service section is valid when Station is included at the time of boarding. On the paper MPA, when it's mobile or mini only, all right, merchant email is still important. Our equipment section, once again, we would either choose mobile or mini. Our equipment type or equipment category is going to be software here on the Nashville platform. And this time, because Station is not part of the ordering or the boarding, this entire Clover Service section you're going to leave blank, all right? Because the Clover Service fee will be something the merchant will agree to in the App Store, and the menu upload will happen post-boarding. Now, what about ordering the equipment, all right? Same sort of concept here where if anytime Station is included, it's business as usual. We're still going to submit these orders through the shopping cart. With Clover Station, anytime that's included with mobile or mini, the same process as Clover Station today. I still have to make sure I get that confirmation email stating that Station setup is complete, MTOS order can now be placed. And as always, those orders for equipment must match the MPA or the roll order. Now, mobile or mini has a step omitted, which actually should help us here. Mobile or mini is similar to ordering a terminal. There's no need to wait for a confirmation email when we're ordering mobile or mini only. So you will not get that email that says Station setup complete, MTOS order can now be placed. You do still have to, though, wait until the account has gone live. So there still is a little bit of a waiting period there. So typically what we do today with Station, right, is we go out and make sure that the account is live, and we also get that welcome email. Here with mobile or mini only, we just need to go out and make sure that the account is live in application status, and then we can go ahead and place our orders then. And what about our existing merchants? As some of the scenarios that we saw earlier today, it might make a lot of sense to go out and revisit some of our Station merchants today, talk about if there's a need for mobile or mini in those same locations. So this, of course, would be a merchant service center request, as it would be with Station today. When you guys are filling out your merchant service center requests, your work order category is going to be authorization network, and your work order type will be Clover setup. Okay? And in your comments, be sure to add comments in there that you're including or adding Clover mobile and or mini hardware and peripherals as appropriate. And just like our merchant service center request today, I will, as an agent, I will need to wait for that MSC request to be completed before I can order my equipment. Okay. Each Clover Merchant Service Center request must match the shopping order, just like we do on the MPA. So whatever I'm ordering in the applications has to match my orders. Whatever I'm requesting in my Merchant Service Center request must match my shopping cart order. No Clover addendum is required if you're not adding a station, so that should cut out a little bit of additional paperwork for us there. And as far as any situation where the station is included, you got it. It's business as usual. I still need to do the same process as I would today anytime station is included in my equipment order there, or my request for additional equipment to be added. All right, wow, a lot of information on boarding, I know. Good thing that we're recording. But which of the following is required when boarding a new merchant? This is our last knowledge check here, guys. And so I think what we'll do is we'll go ahead and finish out the last few slides, and then we'll open it up for our final Q&A there. But let's go ahead and do this last knowledge check here, kind of stemming back and reviewing over our boarding process. Which of the following is required when boarding a new merchant in ROLA with Clover, Mobile, or Mini without the Clover station? So which one of these things am I going to do whenever I'm boarding a new merchant with just Mobile or Mini on ROLA? Let's see what you guys think here. All right. Oh, I see a majority of you guys doing the raised hands. And that is a very good thing because that is correct. The equipment type will be software, but remember, whenever Mobile or Mini are by themselves without station, we will not do anything with menu options, and we will do nothing about that Clover service fee. We'll leave that entire Clover service section alone. And in fact, on ROLA, it won't even come up for us. All right. Excellent. Good job, guys. Thank you for participating on that. And like I said, we'll go ahead and we've only got a few more slides here, so we'll open up for the Q&A here at the very end. Resources. Some of the resources that we use today are definitely going to be very helpful. Absolutely. Clover.com, help.clover.com, those are all going to be equally important. My Agent Office, be on the lookout for additional items being added into My Agent Office, this presentation, this recording. Now, we're recording all 3 calls that we have this week, so whichever one will be the best, we'll go with that recording. But they'll most likely, you will most likely see those in the product hub. All right, so for quick access, along with the quick reference guides, which are also being updated right now for boarding new and existing merchants, will be there. Clover.com/features, maybe not necessarily a new resource for a lot of us out there, but one to remind you guys about, to go out and check out, especially when you want to get a better lay of where everything is on Mobile and Mini. We saw those slides in the presentation here, but there's a little bit more detail if you go out to Clover.com/features. We also have the new help.clover.com. I don't know if you guys knew that we've got some big updates that have happened to help.clover.com, but a lot of that was making way for the new family members, of course. But definitely check out help.clover.com, as there's some much resources that you'll be finding very handy there. And then, of course, the marketing materials, they should be coming soon, if not already, out on the Brand Center, so keep an eye out on those. A lot of these we'll start to see rolling out to us over the next few weeks as we get closer to our official release date of Mobile and Mini to the agent channel. And I'll leave you with some words that really are coming directly from some of our merchants out there on how excited they are. We hope that you guys are excited by this. From a lot of the questions and comments that I've been seeing over there in the Q&A, it certainly seems like it, but a lot of the merchants out there that we've already started to show this to, and as Brian alluded to earlier, that we've been beta testing, they like what they see. And I think a lot of your merchants, you could probably attest to this as well, to say, I'd like to have a solution that I could offer merchants that may not be ready for all the bells and whistles, but it gets them their foot in the door, and they can grow with it when they're ready. Or, gee, I wish we had a mobile solution that we could offer that would allow all the features and functions of the Clover station. We're going to be able to do that now. So I'm excited. I hope you guys are as well. And with that, we will open it up for Q&A. Now, what I'll do is I'll first ask Lana, are there any questions that you got new on the Q&A tab in the WebEx?
Hi, Dave. We did have a question about compensation. Are you able to speak to compensation today?
Well, no, not really. No, those will probably be directed more back to the RSPDs and your support teams, yeah. So I would say that would be a take offline question and answer there.
Thank you, Dave. That's it for the queue, except for Jennifer had a question that I missed the context on. So Jennifer, when we open up the lines here, if you'll put your question in there and give us some context, we'll get you the answer.
All right. So operator, I think what we can do is we can go ahead and open up the lines for the official Q&A on the conference line. Can we do that? Hello, Kirk.
At this time, I'd like to remind everyone, in order to ask a question, please press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad, and I'll pause for just a moment to compile the Q&A roster. And once again, if you'd like to ask a question, please press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. And your first question comes from the line of a participant whose information was unable to be captured. If you're trying to ask a question, please state your name and your company, and ask your question. Your line is open.
Hello, who do we have on the line?
Caller, if you're trying to ask a question, please state your name and company and ask your question. Your line is open. And please ensure you are not on mute.
All right, operator, I think we'll go on to the next one.
All right, and we have no further questions in queue at this time, but again, if anyone would like to ask a question, please press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad, and I'll pause again to compile the Q&A roster. And your next question comes from the line of Thomas Core from Ignite Payments. Your line is open.
Hi, this is actually Teresa Lenz. I joined a little bit late, so I apologize if you already answered this. But what is the release date for these mobiles and minis?
The official release date, if I'm not mistaken, and I believe if we have Darlene on the line with us, she might be able to expound upon this. But the official release date is slated for mid-May. I know we're shooting for early May, but you guys will get further communications here as to when the official release date is. It'll definitely be, well, it should be, we're shooting for between the 1st and 2nd week of May. So realistically, I would say let's think about mid-May there as far as time frame.
Great, thanks, David.
Yep.
Your next question comes from the line of Rick Ewell from Costa Massa. Your line is open.
Yeah. Are we going to have a West Coast distributor center where we can pick up the Clovers, minis, and mobile, rather than having to wait to have them shipped from the East Coast?
Teresa, I don't know if there's any, if you might be able to answer that question as far as where deployment's happening.
That's not anything I know about, not on my radar. We can take that one away, but as far as I know, that's...
I mean, if we could re-provision them, you know, we could put do the one load here. We could order them in advance and then load them. That way we don't have to wait forever, because it's nice to get people set up when they're motivated.
Oh, well, hopefully you're not waiting forever, but I understand the ask, and it's definitely something we can take away.
Thank you.
Once again, if you'd like to ask a question, please press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. Your next question, again, comes from the line of a participant whose information was unable to be captured. If you're trying to ask a question, please state your name and your company and ask your question. Your line is open.
Dave, this is Judy Watson.
Hey, Judy.
I have a question. This has to do with the pre-auth. I want to know, I didn't quite understand what Teresa was saying. I do. You're saying that they would have to pre-authorize for a certain amount, say $50. And then if their bill is not a total of $50, how does that work? That's what she meant by per drink, I believe.
Yeah, just don't think about drinks. Just think about like anything in general. So it's not specific to drinks. You can put a pre-auth or a hold on a card for amount A, and then you just authorize for amount B. Amount B can be greater than or less than amount A. So it's
Okay.
just a general standard pre-auth functionality.
Right. That's what I wanted to be sure you were talking about instead of that it would stick with the first number. That's where I got confused.
Right.
Okay. Other question, second question would be about the communication when the Wi-Fi is down. And my only question is that being addressed at all? And the reason I ask is I know it doesn't matter in the as far as the card authorization because you have the offline mode, but it does matter when they're like checking out in a restaurant. If they don't communicate with each other, they have to check out at whichever one it was put in on. And I don't know if there was any backup or if they're working on addressing that issue.
There was recently an enhancement to make the offline notification more prominent to the merchant on the interface.
Okay. That still doesn't help if it is a restaurant or any kind of environment, and they, especially with the mobiles, now, if they take their order on one mobile and the person can't pay out at, say they have one particular station that's a register because it does not allow it because they can't communicate with each other. I've ran into this with one of my merchants a lot, so that's why I'm trying to ask if this is something that's being worked on.
So I just don't understand how technology could support that ask. So that's like asking, can you let me make a call from my cell phone if there's no cell phone service, right? So if you can't communicate externally from a device, you can't just like magically make it communicate. So I don't know that there is a potential for that to be worked on.
Okay. I know that there are other systems that do that, but they are also hardwired. That's why I was checking. And they're only hardwired for backup. But I didn't know if that has been something that has been a major thing for two of my merchants. And I was just trying to get clarification.
Excellent question, Judy. Yeah.
Thank you.
Your next question comes from a line of a participant whose information was unable to be captured. If you're trying to ask a question, please state your name and company and ask your question. Your line is open.
Hello, caller. Are you there?
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, I'm wondering about insurance.
Okay. What's your question there concerning insurance?
Are we going to offer insurance, which they apparently now are doing on leased equipment, but you know, if one of these pieces goes bad in a year, they're going to be coming back to us saying, you sold it to me, you have to replace it. Are we going to offer an insurance swap out option?
That's a really good question. And Teresa, do you have any details on what the possible?
No, I don't know what Ignite's warranty policy is. That's something that product or the channel would have to answer, so it's something to take away.
Hi, it's Lana, and I'm pinging with Darlene. We offer the warranty, but we don't have an insurance program at this time. We'll write that down on the list for a takeaway.
Your next question comes from the line of Vandela Yunan from Ignite Payments. Your line is open.
Hi, I have a quick question. I wasn't sure if you guys mentioned this earlier, but I have a merchant that wanted the pre-auth. He purchased the standalone system. If he purchases the Clover Mini, will it sync up with his standalone and he can just do pre-auths on the Mini, but all of his orders will still show up on the standalone?
When you say the standalone, you mean a station, right?
Yes, sorry.
If it's on the same mid, then yes.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Your next question comes from the line of Jason Banther from Ignite Payments. Your line is open.
Hey guys, I may have just missed this. I know we covered the pricing on the SaaS fees. Did we cover pricing on the hardware for Clover Mobile and Mini?
We did. Yeah, I can go back to that slide here real quick here, Jason.
I apologize. That must have been, I stepped away for 30 seconds. That must have been when it was.
Just for
okay,
you,
great. I apologize for my goose, but I sure do appreciate you putting that up.
Very welcome.
We have no further questions at this time. I'll turn the call back over to the presenters.
All right. We are right at our call stop time there at 4:30, and of course 4:30 Eastern, I should say. We've had a good 90 minutes, I think, with Brian's kickoff there for us on the call, getting us hopefully excited, and we're going to, of course, talk about this more, I'm sure, next week when we all, a lot of us hopefully will see in Las Vegas, I'm sure. But I want to thank you guys for joining on the session today. Any additional questions that you guys might have out there, please keep them coming. We'll answer them accordingly. The takeaways, we'll certainly address those. And in that best case scenario, if we can get Clover Mobile Mini ready for us on May 4th, we still have 2-3 weeks about to be ready for that. We're going to have some additional sessions you guys will see as a refresher. If it's more towards the middle of May, we're going to do the same thing. Typically, we like to have these training sessions a week prior to, but with preparations for the big Ignition get together out in Vegas here next week. We're doing a lot of work in preparation for that, so we want to make sure you guys got an exposure to the Clover Mobile, the Clover Mini, the new introductions to the family today. And we still have 2 more sessions this week. We have one tomorrow. If I closed out my calendar because of the interruptions I might see there with Outlook. But we do have 2 more sessions. So if you guys would like to join those sessions again, just to hear it possibly, hear us cover it over again, or if you want to jump back in and maybe ask a few questions again at the end, we more than gladly will, hopefully see you guys there. And those sessions starting tomorrow look like will be at 11 o'clock Eastern. So for those of us on the East Coast, that'll be a little bit of an earlier call there, especially on the West Coast. And then the one on Wednesday will be at 12 noon Eastern. So if there's additional opportunities where you want to join in, please feel free to do so, and we'll review this and cover this once again for you guys. But I want to thank everybody for helping us out here and joining this session. Teresa, thank you for your guidance and helping us out with a lot of the questions here as we introduce some of these new options to us. Lana, thank you for helping manage the Q&A. I like handling the questions as we went along there, so thank you very much. And if Brian were still on the call, I'd thank him too, because a lot of this he has a lot to do with and making this very exciting for us. So, and thank you guys. All right, it was excellent. Hopefully, you guys got a lot of information, and a lot of the things I saw coming in the Q&A weren't necessarily questions, but comments of I could see the excitement there. So, thank you guys. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll hopefully see you guys in Vegas next week. All right, take care, guys, and have a great rest of your day.
This concludes today's conference call. You may now disconnect.